Someone is making an appearance at Survivor Series against the Bloodline. Triple H is working to get a former New Japan Pro Wrestling star back into the ring. And AEW had 2 full-time signings. All this and more. And we got Buff Bagwell on the show. Holy Christopher Columbus. Woo! This is the All Effin' Wrestling Show.
Hit that music.
Coming to you live from the FN Worldwide Media Studios, located in parts unknown. It's the
All Effin' Wrestling Show
with your host,
Canada Dry and the JFB.
Good afternoon, good morning. I'll see you tonight. Good evening. I am, of course, your brand new AFW DTW champion. After predictions from last night in Full Gear, I am the JFB, James from Boston.
And I am the patron saint of professional wrestling. I'm that gingered up, bubbly son of a bitch. I'm Canada Dry, damn it.
Woo, Canada Dry. And of course,
can we get a Buff Bagwell sort of introduction?
Listen, I'm Buff, I'm the stuff, and the girls just can't get enough.
Oh, yeah. Woo! We got Buff Bagwell in the studios. But before we get to our interview with Buff, we have to do a couple of little things. One of them is the news.
From the 4 corners of the globe, from our studios to your home, this is FNN, the FN News Network, starring Canada Dry and the JFB.
Oh, good morning. It's time for the news, and we'll go through these real quick.
Sorry.
I got 2 at home. They're a pain in the ass.
Before we get started, I just want to say condolences to the family of I don't know the actor's name, but the Green Ranger from Power Rangers took his life. And give the
talk about Tommy.
Yes.
Oh, David Allen Frank.
I think it's what?
David Allen Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. That's not good news. All right.
All
right, let's get to the news really quickly. If you're wondering who the 5th member was going to be with the Brawling Brutes and Drew McIntyre taking on the Bloodline, it is, of course, KO. That's right, Kevin Owens back from injury. Yeah, he is going to be facing Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, which is weird to say, seeing as, he's an honorary Oos. He's very Oosy. Triple H is working tirelessly to get Jonah from New Japan Pro Wrestling, whose contract ends at the end of this month. You might rename him as Bronson Reed. They're trying to get him back. Speaking of people coming back, Chelsea Green, you might know her better as the better half of her and Matt Cardona, looks like she's heading back to WWE, and Cardona might be coming back as well. AEW had a couple of awesome signings. AR Fox is now full-time elite, and also Konosuke Takeshita is all elite as well, which is a huge get for them. Medusa says that despite everything that's been going on, Vince has always been good to her. Yeah, I mean, he gave her a lot of opportunities. So concern over Adam Cole in AEW because of his severe concussions. I've said it before, and I'm hoping that he takes his health over one more match. What do you think, Canada Dry?
Over for sure, but I don't want to take dirt sheets for what this is like. Let's wait and see what he actually says.
Yeah,
I'm sick of Meltzer and his bullshit.
Yeah. Hey, Buff, what do you think about concussions and stuff like that?
Well, first, let me say I hate Dave Meltzer's freaking guts. That freaking guy, dude,
What's the main reason for that?
That guy has rode my ass a freaking 100 years, man. I've heard that name, and I uke from day one riding my ass, bro. He don't. That guy has he ever even been in a wrestling ring before?
Nope.
How can somebody that's never thrown a baseball before dog out the Major League Baseball player?
Yeah.
You can't, right?
Yeah.
How can he dog out or speak about pro wrestling and not know anything about it? Dave Meltzer, I am so sick and tired of hearing about you. I swear to God, I've never said a bad thing to my knowledge in this fashion that I'm getting ready to say. I hate your fucking guts.
Yeah.
I mean, if you die today, I would be happy. And I remember you.
You heard it here first.
Talking on with those little bitty papers that you thought everybody was reading. I never did because it was stupid as hell, called the dirt sheets. Well, only stupid ass wrestlers and marks read the dirt sheets back in the old days. But I remember all the guys coming to me though and going, "Man, Dave Meltzer." I go, "Who's Dave Meltzer?" "Oh, he's dogging you out." I go, "Who?" I said, "In that little paper?" I go, y'all actually read that? And of course the boys did, but I've never, I swear to God on my life, never have read one in my entire life. But from what they told me, he was constantly ripping me apart. I hope you die because I'm so sick of it. I mean, you're just pathetic. You're horrible. You're ridiculous. Somebody that's never been in a pro wrestling ring, much less do nothing in the pro wrestling, probably don't even know how to throw a baseball or a football. Non-athletic, stupid as can be. Somehow your name has been in my ear for 34 years. So you've done something right, but God dang, I hate your guts over it. So congratulations. You got somebody that hates you, but now you're gonna get a bunch of views because Buff Bagwell said your name. So maybe, pat me on the back for the views you're gonna get or whatever. But man, God, go to something which is, let me think. Nothing. So, I'm sorry, guys. I had to vent a little bit. I ain't vented in so long because I'm clean now. So I've not vented in a while, man. But when I heard his name, I don't know why, I just ignited. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's all right.
Well,
right.
he's got a lot of haters though. So.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah.
Woo.
Both of us being one of them.
Well, I'm back and forth. I don't know.
Colt Cabana's return apparently caused issues with AEW, between AEW and CM Punk. Speaking of CM Punk, he is ahead of schedule with his injury rehab. Jeff Hardy, if we were looking forward to Jeff Hardy coming back at some point this year, probably not. His pretrial has been pushed back to the middle of December.
Question.
Yeah.
What's the trial over?
His DUI and something else.
What? When I get in trouble, do I get in trouble? What is it? What is it when I get in trouble? It's trouble. Here's Jeff, and we just skim over it like it's news. Well, Jeff wasn't coming back this year, and okay, well, moving on. I don't get it, man. DUI.
He's got a lot of heat on him. Like
nobody fires him. We don't get in trouble. And, I just don't get it.
Got a lot of heat on him.
Huh?
Jeff Hardy has a lot of heat on him right now, though.
Well, he survived. But man, God bless him. I love Jeff to death. I really do. I love him to death. He's great. But at the same time, it just seems like it reminded me of my DUI stuff I get in trouble for. It's just so much. Buff Bagwell, much more trouble when I do it. But I'm glad Jeff is getting better, and hopefully he'll, get through the trials, because I think Jeff Hardy is one of the best of all times. Of course, he really is.
Yeah.
Maybe DDP can work with him too, because he needs to get clean.
Hey, come on down, Jeff. August 27th is my sobriety date. It's 80 something days. I'm not a big day counter, but because I think guys that count days is a little bit, I don't know, it's a little like my guys say, I'm 464 days clean. I don't know, man. It is better just to give a sobriety date, I think, instead of having to count the days. I think it may be a little easier that way. So August 27th, it's 80 something days, but man, I feel great and just everything's going really good. But it's different for me because I don't really think I've ever been clean like consecutively since I was in my teens. I'm guessing,
Yeah.
So
I don't know
yeah,
if you know. I guess you wouldn't know this, Buff, but I work at a place called the Recovery Club. And,
no,
we have meetings there and stuff. And
that's cool.
yeah, I'm an outreach worker. We go out and find some people out there, the homeless and stuff like that. But one of the things I find is that when you're naming like every single day, it's kind of like if you were to slip up, you're like, I lost so much, and you're like, oh, I'm starting all over. Well, I don't like the day counting at all.
Yeah.
No, I'm so glad you said that because believe it or not, that's a big fight or argument, I would say, in my aftercare program. I go to a place called Tangu in Marietta, Tangu, and it's an aftercare place after I went to Black Bear. And yeah, it's a big argument because even amongst the therapists, it's an argument a little bit because they'll put up there, give your sober date. They'll say that, or sometimes the therapists say days clean. So even on days clean, I say my sober date because to me, I thought you were going to say this a minute ago. To me, giving your date is kind of a double-edged sword. It's almost like if you're counting like that, if you're counting viciously 474 days, and that, let's just say that's exact and you're right, that can't be good. That means you've been thinking about drinking and the number of days you've been sober for 464.
Yeah.
And that's how I think.
Well, let's say you're 20 years clean. Let's say you're 20 years clean and you have a sip of alcohol. Now, all of a sudden, that 20 years is gone down the drain.
Yeah.
But that mindset, right? Even though you dropped it down the drain and you said, fuck it, I'm not doing this. To me, that's a victory that you dumped it down the drain.
Right, absolutely. But yeah, that's a good point. But one day I shared this just like this one day on like an AA online because I'm also I'm doing the 90 and 90 and I'm on like day 50 something for that because I did 30 at Black Bear, but my 90 and 90 started on day 31 of being clean. So that was the one day of 90. So I'm back day 50 something on my goal I'm going to make, which is 90 meetings in 90 days. And so. But yeah, I spoke like that in a meeting or on the AA Zoom thing, and they said a person didn't say a word. It came to they raised their hand to share, and when it came to them, they go, "I've been clean 3,473 days
in 5 minutes."
And I went, "Hey, brother, whatever, man." I mean, he really was like, he was directed right toward me, but he didn't say it. But he was like, exactly. I went, okay.
It's so smug. It's so smug.
So what got you? What was the decision to get you in the rehab?
The breakdown of it was, me, of course, but I had got where, I think all wrestlers have a somewhat of a battle with pills because we're on such hard schedules, man. I mean, first time I was introduced to a Xanax, it was the best thing in the world. I mean, it really was. I mean, you took it to go to sleep and I'm in Japan. I can't sleep at all. My time's all turned around. I got a Xanax from one of the boys to go to bed. Never even heard of the drug before. The next morning, when you sleep like that, what do you think you're doing the next morning? What did you give me? And can I have another night? So it's a very addicting thing to get what you want,
Yeah.
So the Xanaxes and Somas are addicting because we come off TV at midnight for years like this. We're amped most of our lives, and to be able to, somewhat, like you say, smoke a cigarette would be to take a couple somas and have a beer. Man, what an unbelievable feeling it really is just to breathe.
Yeah.
For a minute, man. It goes 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and it goes up and up. So that's where it gets bad, of course. And the boys have a hard time with that, or people do, because they're very addicting drugs. But with that said, I had gotten kind of out of hand on it, but not bad. But I gotten bad with my alcohol this time. I've never done that.
Yeah.
I've never done that before. The DUIs I do have came from, I did not blow over the limit. It wasn't like I wasn't trying to be drunk. I never did blow over the limit. My DUIs were always, was drugs, which is Xanax, pills of some sort. And, but so I went to rehab this time for alcohol and Xanax. Alcohol and Xanax is what I went for. And I said somas too in rehab, because, everybody's addicted to somas. That soma is the most addictive pill in the world. It really is. And
question from one of our viewers here: what is the best advice your mother ever gave you?
She didn't give a lot of good advice. She was actually bad about that, and I worship my mother. She's been passed away for a year now. This past November 5th was a year, but she was actually kind of bad about the pill thing. She would, from a very young age, if we got sick as children, it was always about taking a pill, taking a pill. You're sick. I hear it in your voice. Here, take this. It was always about a pill. And not that that's her fault. I'm saying that kind of a habit is not a healthy habit in the world we live in now. Take something. You're sick. Taste. I mean, we could have a broken arm and she put Neosporin on it,
Yeah.
Neosporin was for everything, So, but my mom was an excellent, mother, and an excellent nurse, mother, parent, just unbelievable. But in that category, it was not a healthiest thing to do. She didn't know it, of course, but this wasn't the healthiest thing. But my mom's advice was, when I was getting bad, she realized anything she came at me with wasn't going to work, because I was such a really great functioning addict during WCW. I was great at it.
Yeah.
When you got the WCW leash of money and TV, and you care about how you look, that's a pretty good leash, man. That's a pretty good leash. So I dabbled my whole career, but never really got to where I needed to go to rehab. My trouble when that leash was gone, when WCW was gone, the depression of it being gone, plus the no leash, clip, here I go. Yeah. So they did come at me, my mom and dad, when they realized nothing could work, they came at me with money. They said, this is what you're spending. And I knew it was really, really bad. I just didn't want to look at it because I wasn't ready to go. I wasn't ready to be sober. Yeah. So I don't want to see that. So I never looked at it, but I can tell you it's real bad, because I was taking high quantities of stuff because my tolerance had gotten so high. And but then when I found Suboxone and cut my pill intakes in half, because it's just the best drug in the world. If you're hooked on opiates and you're listening to this podcast, there is a drug, and it's called Suboxone, and it's spelled SUBXONE, and it is the best drug in the world. You trade an opiate addiction for a couple of Suboxones a day, 1.5 if you take them correctly. I mean, it's amazing. They're an amazing drug. It's an amazing drug to get you clean. And that helped me get off it years ago. But the somas and alcohol has got to be one you got to ride out. So I went 30 days to Black Bear, and now I've been at Tengu for about almost 30. Like right around 50 days at Tengu. So I'm 80 plus days total clean though. I'm doing great, feel great, and just glad to be clean. I've never really had this vision like I do now of sobriety. I just never really did. And now I do, really enjoying things.
Awesome. I want to get another question in here. How do you deal with the mental aspect? I mean, walking to an arena with 15,000 crowd going nuts at the end of the room by yourself, is that a crash mentally?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's a big deal. But I will tell you, man, when I see like YouTube stuff back and see me on TV still and stuff, I mean, again, like in the old days and stuff, it's like, I mean, God, we had a great program, man. It was really a great show, man. I mean, and not just me, we all were really good at what we did, man. It was a great show. Nitro was an absolutely phenomenal show. It really was. How we ever blew that, I got no idea. No idea.
So let's
What
talk
are your thoughts on Eric Bischoff? What do you think about him?
You know, a lot of guys have a lot to say about Eric, man, but man, all I got to say about Eric is right there, brother. I mean, he has always done for Mark Bagwell what he was supposed to do. He was a great boss. I got in trouble when I needed to get in trouble. He hung out with us and flew my motorcycle all over drove it around to get it places to ride all together with the guys on my bike. I mean, my Harley. He was just, I think he was a fantastic boss. I mean, the biggest thing he did for me was, we had a handshook deal on my, right when I broke my neck. So the last I signed was a 3-year deal for WCW. And, he called me up in the hospital and he said, hey, Buff, I want you to know, I don't want you to worry about your contract. I know I know we talked about it, but the deal's still good, of course. And keep in mind, I'm laying in the bed with a broken neck and don't know what the deal is. So I go, well, first of all, Eric, I am worried about it. He goes, well, I'll have the contract couriered to you. That's when couriers were doing that stuff. Yeah. He goes, I have it couriered to you, right now. So I said, please. So he had it couriered to me, and I turned to the very back of a contract that thick, the very back, because I already negotiated first class, rent-a-cars, and hotels. Pretty much after that, it's the money figure, 4 things, you're good to go. So I just turned to the back, being Buff Bagwell, boom, boom. But I should have and looked at the clauses and the things you could. Every 6 months I could opt out, or they can fire you every 6 months, and didn't want to mess with that. So my contract for Buff Bagwell was that thick. I could have gone through there with my agent and got a lot of things handed to me that I needed, because Vince came to me before Vince bought us and was trying to get me to come over. I actually flew. Me and my second wife flew to meet Vince McMahon. You know how he flies you into Connecticut up there, and you come in and he takes you to this house and cooks dinner and all that. That was his deal when he was, courting you, and so at the very end, he couldn't come to the meeting, and we had to make it just at the hotel. So we flew into the airport. They put us up in a limousine. We went to the hotel and just met with Shane. No, I'm sorry. It was Shane and Vince. And Vince, the only thing I really, really remember is he just wanted to meet me and go over the contract and stuff and see each other. And he asked me right after we left, he said, what do you think is the most important thing in the walk of being a professional wrestler? And I said, no matter what he is, a babyface or a heel, I said, a wrestler's job is to get cheered or booed dramatically. I said, if they're not getting yayed or booed, they shouldn't have a job. And to me, that's the biggest thing there is. And he really that answer. That's a great answer. So I flew home, and this is one of those things you just think, God, why did I save that message? But on my message machine, it was like, hey, Buff, this is, Vincent, man, give me a call. So I call him back up, and he goes, man, this contract is so ironclad. There is nothing we can do with you. And I was like, you're kidding, So, Bischoff don't know this. Nobody knows this, because it's some of those things you don't share when you're still at WCW making $500,000 a year, So, of course, I didn't. And, he was courting me, man, before. And God, if I could have switched then, I wouldn't have had near the amount of heat. I could have came in on a much even more came in at a much bigger price. And because there was 2 companies, And of course I didn't, and we know the rest of that story. So yeah, but it was
Can you imagine the
story.
debut of you back then? What they would have made the big deal? Like WWE would have done it properly.
Unannounced, like, you know, Eric wouldn't have known, and for the right dollar amount, I'd have came over behind his back, and then boom, I'm on Raw. You know, that would have been a big deal. That would have been a real big deal.
Oh yeah, that would have been ginormous. That would have been such a great. So we got another question. Who do you want to induct you into the WWE Hall of Fame when the time comes? Would it be DDP?
I would say, you say when the time comes. That's, you know, that's a
if
so, if I went in today, and it would still almost be DDP. But let me think about it with that question.
Okay.
I mean, God, I mean, you can only have one guy, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it had to be DDP, no doubt. But I mean, God, I'd like to have Lex there, of course. Jake would be somebody I'd want to speak for me. But Dallas overall, if somebody that, you know, has been there, can do it, knows how to do it, would be a great guy to speak for you, because he knows me and was there with his own eyes, seeing things bad and good. And, you know, Dallas would be a great one, no doubt.
Yeah. How'd you get hooked up with Diamond Dallas Page?
You know, me and Dallas went back to, you know, at the very beginning of WCW, you know. So, I mean, I remember arguing over my contract with Eric about Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas were real big friends, and I can't remember what year it was, but Eric had to cut our pay by 20%. So I was making $100,000 a year at the time. So it had to be early, like 91.
Yeah.
90. And it was time to redo our contract. So instead of going up, we were redoing our contract to lose 20%. And I was like, holy shit. So somehow or another, I think Dallas told me, I know he did, he was making $85,000 a year.
Yeah.
So I had that back in my mind as I went into Eric's meeting. Well, as we're playing it out, it don't take too hard of math to figure out $100,000, 20% is $80,000.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to work my $100,000. I can't imagine him, Eric. I can't imagine him not letting me stay at 100. 20% cuts should have been to Sting and your Lugers, and Luger wasn't there yet, but your Stings and your bigger stars that are making 3, 4, 5, or 6 even, you know, 100,000. Not your Marcus Alexander Bagwell making $100,000. That's not your 20% guys. So I was actually shocked that he was going to stick to it. I go, Eric, I said, come on, bro. You can't do this to me. I mean, I'm making $100,000. I said, you know as good as I do, Eric. $100,000 is about the limit in this business. That's about the bottom, because to live on the road, rent a cars wasn't paid for, hotels wasn't paid for, you know, tanning, working out, eating for a pro wrestler. I mean, that's about rock bottom just to survive.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I said, look, Eric, I said, so when he's going to stick with dropping me 20% to 80, I had to pull it out, man. I said, Eric, if you can look at me across this table and tell me that Diamond Dallas Page is worth $5,000 more than me, I said, I'll sign the contract right now. And Eric was like blown away. I could tell that I knew that. And he went, I can't tell you that. I go, so he goes, here's what we're going to do. He goes, I want you to make $80,000 for the year, so I can show that you did drop, you know, go down that 20%, like I said. And at the end of the year, I'll put in your contract where we got to write you a $20,000 check to pay you back. So,
all right.
I won the negotiation. That was a victory, I thought, and it was.
Yeah.
Of course, Dallas and Eric were great friends. I didn't know they were great friends. So it comes back. Eric is all over me about going to the wrestling school to learn how to work the arm. And I go, what? And he goes, and he was adamant about it. Yeah, you need to get down there and, you know, work the arm. And I was like, Eric, have you lost your mind? I said, I was WCW's Rookie of the Year. I said, I'm pretty good at this thing they call pro wrestling. I said, You're joking, right? So Ole Anderson hated my guts, and he had his kid down there, and his kid was going to supposedly kick my ass, and all this stuff. Was kid didn't kick my ass at all. And matter of fact, I pinned his kid, Ole's kid.
Yeah.
I hated Ole's guts because he hated mine, and so it just really wasn't working. And I didn't do nothing down there anyway. I sat outside while they did 1,000 Hindu squats, like old Buddy Parker would do to him.
Yeah.
They killed him with those squats. And after they squat their brains out, I'd get in the ring and work the arm a little bit. So everybody was happy because he was going to fire me if I didn't go. So about 3 weeks into this crazy ass thing about working the arm, I did it like a week, but it was a 3-week thing. I'm trying to figure out why I did it. And Dallas calls me up one day and I go, "Hey man," he goes, "Hey, what's up?" I go, "Man, I've been going to school, working the arm. I don't know what the hell, Dallas. I mean, what the hell?" There starts laughing. And I said, What's funny? He goes, "Remember that $85,000 line you came out with, Eric, in your meeting with your contract?" "Oh yeah." He goes, "I got in Eric's ear to get you to go to school because you didn't know how to work arms correctly." I go, "You bastard!" I said, "Do you know he really thinks I don't know how to work an arm correctly?"
Oh.
And so I said, "Bro, this has been brutal." He started laughing, and I was laughing. I go, "Hey, I got my money." He goes, "That's all that matters." He goes, "I got you to go to school, work the arm." I go, "Hey, I love it." So we were real tight after that point on, man. We were super tight with each other.
Yeah.
So Eric,
another question.
Eric's a great guy to me. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
We have another question. Did Saunders and Stasiak telling radio shows the plans for Mania really kill the chances of the WCW guys succeeding?
Sean Stasiak.
Yeah.
Did the thing he did up there to get fired, you're saying, all that recording stuff?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
I didn't know anything about that. And me and Stasiak were in Montana. I think somewhere in Montana doing a nitro or something. He rode with me to the gym. And I remember this vividly. And he was telling me, I said, "So what's your story, man? What do you do?" And he goes, "Well, I was in WWF." And I said, "Well, there's a story. You got fired. So what's the story?" And, I really wasn't big into the dirt and knowing stuff like most wrestlers did. I just really didn't care that much about it. And I was about making money and being in shape, and being the best to be. And a lot of guys indulged into all that. I just didn't. So Sean tells me the whole story. He tells the truth. He goes, "Well, I had the recorders out, and I would tape like messages with the boys." I said, "In the car of friends you're riding with?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "Bro, that's cool." And I go, "How do I know you don't have one on me in here?" And he laughed and I laughed, but not really. And so long story short, he told me the story, but I don't think Sean Stasiak, no offense, I love Sean personally, but I don't think anything could affect anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, personally.
So what do you think was the reason why WCW guys who came over after the buyout that they didn't have the same success as they did in WCW?
I don't know, man. Think about this. Buff Bagwell is the only wrestler in the history of time to be main event one week and fired the next.
Yeah.
With that said, I don't know. I got no idea, but I think that it was a no-go from the start.
Yeah.
One thing I've not shared a lot of that y'all may not know is like the WWE. I think it was the WWF the night I did it. The night I wrestled for them, I think it was the WWF still. I'm 99%
Yeah, I think
sure.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was WWF. And so my first contract was WWF. And that first match was Monday Night Nitro on the WWF. So I'm in the
versus Booker T.
And we're my main event in Tacoma, Washington. And the next week is Atlanta. So obviously this ain't our first rodeo. Why the hell are we doing this match called the, what was it called? The R word? What was that angle called? It was something with an R.
Trying to
I just
think.
know it was a WCW booked match when they got all the
Yeah.
WCW crew.
Oh, the Revelation or the
Oh, the Revolution.
Revolution. No, that's not it either. It's a word that means like your backyard, kind of.
Oh,
I can't believe we don't know that name, guy. Shit. Anyway, we'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, long story short, we're going to be in Ted Turner's backyard in 1 week. Why would we do that R word in Tacoma, Washington, instead of doing the R word in Atlanta, Georgia? It's almost like resurrection, but I can't think of it. It's almost like reinvention, but I'll get it in a minute. But in other words, you wouldn't have done it. You just, by God, would not have done it. You'd have waited till Atlanta to have the WCW the WWF go to WCW's backyard and shove it down their throats. Why would you do it in Tacoma? You just wouldn't do it. So, but we did. So me and Booker the whole way were going, God, man, what are we doing this for? But we couldn't say nothing. So we're backstage with our hands over our mouths going, God, bro, what do you think? I don't understand. Why are we doing this? This can't be good, So with us knowing it couldn't be good, but we can't say nothing, up comes the match. And
is it Revival? Is it Revival?
Close. It's close. God dang. It's
a game show. The R word with Buff Bagwell.
When you hear it, you're gonna go, oh my God. It starts with R. It's like Revival, but it's like the backyard, like resurrection almost.
You know why I think you got fired?
What?
To set an example for WCW guys.
Hold on 1 second. Let me tell you this, then tell me that. So we have the match, but before the match, I don't think I've ever told nobody this. I don't think. Maybe a few people. But where I'm in the back and my music starts. And it's dark back there and everything. And me and Booker had the match down. We're going to go over the match and go have a good match and everything. All of a sudden, I get ready to go out the curtain, and man, Shane McMahon is just there. And I said, where'd you come from? He was like, he didn't answer me. He goes, I forgot to tell you, do not look in the camera. And I go, Shane, that's all I do. I said, have you ever watched one of my matches? I said, I look in the camera, I wear a top hat, and I pose. That's it. And he goes, do not do it. If you do it, you're fired. So do me a favor and look at 3 or 4, 5, 10, if you want, entrances before the WWF match and watch what Buff Bagwell does in those 10 matches and then play through the entrance of the WWF match.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you think that the reason? Oh, we had a glitch there.
Sorry. So that right there was, I didn't want to be fired, so I didn't look at the camera. I was off my game instantly, bro. And then and nobody told us what to do, and that's where Pat Patterson, when the match was all over, I don't think anything was wrong with that match. You got to figure what I've gone through with this deal. I've gone with podcast guys that said, hey, I heard you got fired from the match, to 2 years to 20 years later, guys going, man, I think that's a really good match you had. So I've been on a crazy ride with the match. But at the same time, if you look at the match back again, not one mistake, not one missed punch, not one missed clothesline. It may not have been a great match, but it sure as hell wasn't a bad match. Yeah. And when you fire Buff Bagwell over a bad match?
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
It wasn't a bad match. I just watched it recently. It was not a bad match.
It was great, but it wasn't something you get fired over.
So 2-part question. So would you say that they set an example, like just to set an example for the WCW guys? So Vince is famous for not you guys aren't his guys.
That's what I think, what you just said. Buff Bagwell just got fired in Atlanta, guys. Nobody's safe.
Yeah.
I think I was the sacrificial lamb is the best thing I could come up with.
Yeah.
What do you think of Shane as a person?
I thought Shane was great. I thought he was a great guy. I think he's a great wrestler. But I like Vince too. I just I even think that if it wasn't already decided that we were going to get fired and they didn't have something else picked out or whatever, but I'd even say this ain't true either. But like Vince, about a week before I got fired and all that, there was a thing where he got us all together at, I can't remember. I think it was prior to me and Booker. He got us all together, and it was 12 of us. It was 12 guys that came over at first from WCW to WWF. And Vince had a meeting with us, and he goes, "Hey guys, I really want you guys to be comfortable." He said, I mean, I don't want you to reach out and do nothing you don't want to do that's not like you. I don't want you to pretend. We want you to be yourselves. We want you to be comfortable and be yourselves. Well, 9 of those 12 guys were Sean Stasiak, Hugh Morris, Palombos, Gendrax, O'Hara's, Chavo, but 9 top talent guys, but not A+ talent, but I'd say A- talent.
Yeah.
And the top talent was Dallas, me, and Booker. And all 12 of the guys were in this meeting, though. And that 9 of the 12, they would go out in the match at WCW also and at WWF, and they would put their knee pads and boots on and stuff with street clothes, and they would warm up in the ring. What doors opened. And how many times do you think Buff Bagwell did that over his 11-year career?
0.
Never. So if I would have gone out and did that to kiss people's ass after that speech, especially, those 9 guys would be like, "What the fuck you doing out here, Buff?"
Yeah,
exactly.
Then be yourself. Plus, you don't do this anyway.
Yeah,
that could have been the only thing maybe I could have done, but it wouldn't have been natural. It would have been dead against what he said, and it would have been dead against what they think. So I wouldn't want to. I'm not going to kiss somebody's ass. I mean, I would have kissed anybody's ass to keep my job, but it just wasn't last a kiss there. Everybody knew I didn't do that, so it wasn't going to be a thing.
Yeah, we got another question. What is the best memory backstage you have with Dusty Rhodes?
I got a great one right off the top. I really wasn't noticed until I had a really great match with Chris Benoit. I'd had some things happen, and I was rubbing elbows with Sting, him making the save and stuff. But to go out as Marcus Alexander Bagwell and really, before Rookie of the Year thing happened, before I got awarded that, and go out and really have a damn, a curtain jerker, man, a real good, damn hell of a good match.
Yeah.
Benoit got me, and we were going over things and doing moves and stuff backstage that I didn't even know. I didn't know the words of them, but I knew how to do anything. So he was showing like fish out of water and all these moves and holds and small packages and just all kind of really cool moves. But so all we did was kind of go over it and talk about it a little bit backstage. Nothing in the ring. We went out and we nailed it, and it was a really good match. And Chris was always really snug, and I didn't know that. I went into that match not knowing that he was borderline snug. And he hit me with a left arm, just rattled my boots off, man. I mean, just rattled me, bro. And I got it back. I received on the comeback. I got a big clothesline in. Well, we come to the back, and Dusty rips his headset off and goes, I thought I was in trouble. He goes, Marcus. He goes, Marcus Alexander. He goes, why didn't you tell me you knew how to wrestle? And I go, are you kidding? And he went, no. I go, I just thought you knew. You hired me to wrestle at WCW, bro. And he goes, I knew you could wrestle, but not like that. So everybody was coming out going, man, great match. And then that's when they put me and Scorpio together.
Yeah.
Vader was talking about how great my match was with Benoit, and he goes, you know what, Dusty? He goes, you should put him and Scorpio together.
Yeah.
And they put us together, and me and Scorpio were tag team of the year, man.
Yeah.
And so I was rookie of the year and tag team of the year same year.
What were your thoughts when Bret Hart came over from WWF to WCW?
That it wasn't going to work instantly.
Oh, why is that? Tell us more.
He's WF.
Oh yeah, he's WWF all over him, right?
Yeah.
It'd be like Sting going there at that time.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't have been good.
Honestly, they didn't book him right.
Well, then again, you got to hand it to them. They did everything though. NWO, WCW, heel, babyface, do this, do that, commissioner. Not, I mean, it ain't like they wasn't trying to find a place for no telling how much they paid him, because he came in at a great time to get a big payday. So I'm sure he was making a killing, which I love Bret. I hope he made $10 million. But the boys also knew that he made a bunch of money. And it wasn't like it was working on what we were doing for him, I mean, so I hated it. We all kind of felt sorry for him because he's such a great talent, but he's just got that WWF stamp on, He just didn't quite look like a WCW guy, He just wasn't, and that's nothing wrong with that. It's just, I just don't think the towns and the way we run shows and our storylines and stuff, it was just not very WWF-ish. It was more Southern-based.
The fact Hulk Hogan wouldn't wrestle with him would kind of suck too, right?
Yeah. So, it just, I don't know, it just struck guys the wrong way when he came here. I don't know why. I mean, I loved Bret, but he just, I think it struck guys wrong on the way WCW was trying to push him. I mean, but I felt their pain. I mean, because I know they chunked out a load of cash for that. And of course they're going to try to get him on TV and get him over, but I don't think it ever worked. I don't think he ever got over with us. I just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't his fault. It was never worked.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with the Mr. Rogers character? I got to know.
The show we did, Change or Die, the docuseries we shot at Dallas's Accountability Crib. Y'all be seeing that soon. It's going to be out on like Netflix or something. Somebody's going to pick it up. It's a great show. And they got the Steve Yu. It's going to be fantastic, man. It really is. But our last challenge was to be the absolute opposite of who you are. And one of Dallas's guys, Steve Yu, he's like the brains behind everything. He's like the man. And he's Dallas's probably best friend. And he's just a great guy. I love him to death. And he's part of my support team on my sobriety. And he goes, hey man, what do you think about, on this, doing something opposite on you? What do you think about Mr. Rogers? And I was like, I don't know. He goes, I said, but it is opposite. I like it. I said, so I just started like singing the song a little bit. And then Steve was like, oh my God, this is great. So he bought me the outfit without me knowing. So when I saw the outfit, I instantly went and shaved my goatee and then put some gray in my hair, which I've got gray anyway, but up here I don't. So they put some gray in my hair up top, and with the goatee shaved on, I don't look nothing like Buff Bagwell at all.
Oh, you don't.
And then I cut that interview, and that cussing when I cuss the guy out is real. That's really real. I'm cussing. I cuss out my agent at the time. It was that Michael Long guy that was helping me with my Twitter page, and he got crazy with my Twitter page on that. What's the GBLTQ whatever?
Yeah, the LGBTQ. Yeah,
really wanted me to like almost be the flame carrier, the torch carrier for the whole for the whole community. And I'm all about everybody being comfortable and everybody being what they want to be. But I wasn't going to be the torch carrier for the community, But I think he thought I was going to be. And so he was really going too far with my tweets and stuff. I said, and we would always talk about my tweets. It's just he knew how to do it quicker and better for me to do it. But it just kept getting more outlandish. And so finally it all came to a halt, and I was trying to get my pictures back. It came out that he was some kind of child. Online, he did something and got charged with like child pornography or something, child molestation, something. And there's a mug shot on him and all that. But his real name is Javon Miller. And, he put me in a bad spot, man. And so I was trying to get my pictures back from him because he had all the little jet drives or whatever they're called with all my pictures on them.
Yeah.
And so I called him up and I'm leaving a message. And down at the PC, which is the Performance Center that Dallas owns, the yoga place, they video everything just in case something good happens. So he's videoing me on the phone with Michael Long, I think, but it's Javon Miller. And I'm saying, hey, Michael, this is Buff. Hey, man, listen, bro, please, send me my shit back. And this is like the third time I've left this message.
Yeah.
So at the end of it, can I cuss on your podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
so at the end of the message, I go, I think I hang up and I go, you cocksucking motherfucker. Dog, the guy on Change or Die, the big boy, he goes, Buff, you didn't hang the phone up. And I look back and it wasn't hung up.
Ooh.
Sorry. So instead of not saying sorry, I just go, you cocksucking motherfucker. I just say it again. And then I hang the phone up and you hear Steve go, was that really not hung up? I go, yeah. And so I give Taylor, but on the Mr. Rogers interview, I go, hey, boys and girls, today's lesson is, have you ever gone on a tirade and dog cussed someone when thinking you hung the phone up? And it goes into a dream. It's really me going, you cocksucking motherfucker. And then when it goes back, I make sure you hang the phone up before you, and then I go, get me out of here. Where's my fucking keys at? So I did a Mr. Rogers, but I flip and be Buff every once in a while,
Yeah.
I love the blooper reel of you singing the song and screwing up. That was great.
Oh, it was fantastic, right? So we had a good time with it. So we're going to see a lot more of that coming up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's incredible. You talked about DDP, and let's talk about Jake the Snake Roberts, because I know he's kind of helped you out a while too. So explain that connection that you have with Jake.
Me and Jake have been tight for a while anyway. He's been, fantastic with me, and just he's one of the few old timers, and keep in mind I'm an old timer too, so that's not a knock. But he's one of the few old timers that always liked me. Jake liked me from the first time he ever saw me, and I wrestled him at the UIC Pavilion as Marcus Alexander Bagwell in the early 90s, because I remember asking him, do we have to put the snake on me? I go to Jake Roberts and I go, hey, Jake the Snake Roberts.
Can you say that last part again? You were a bit laggy.
Asking, right? I had to ask though, right?
Yeah.
So I had to move right quick. My friends just came home. So yeah, when I did that, Jake looked at me like I was crazy. I said, Jake, I'm just so scared of snakes, man. And he goes, Mark, I'm Jake Roberts. I've got to pull the snake on you, man. And I was like, I really thought I was going to talk him out of it,
Yeah.
And so I said, well, if I got to do it, man, I said, tell me the deal. And he goes, it's going to stink horribly. He said, but just keep your eyes closed. He goes, and I'll make it as fast as I can. It's a 20-foot python, bro, a 20-foot python. And so it crowns across me, and it stinks so bad. It's not even funny, man. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Jake Roberts, what a great guy. He's 8 years sober now, man. Jake's 8 years sober.
Wow,
That
that is awesome.
documentary with Jake is amazing, isn't it?
It's one of the best. I think it's one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I mean, bro, when you see a guy walk out of the Atlanta airport and he don't have his freaking shoes on,
yeah,
that's at a level that I don't even quite understand, bro. I mean, that's at a level of severe drugs and alcohol, man. And if you remember when he gets in, he even gets his beer count wrong 3 or 4 times.
yeah.
He says, I only had a couple beers. I only had 4 beers. I only had 6 beers.
Yeah.
I mean, God bless him, man. But just think about that. He lost his shoes as Jake the Snake Roberts at Atlanta airport.
Yeah.
I just want to know where they are.
Does some fan have them? He's hoarding them.
Maybe he signed them and got $100 for it or something. I don't know.
Well,
There's
yeah,
a
because then
story
you get to buy his next shit, right?
Yeah, he had to get some shit. Truth be known, he probably had his man meet him at the airport.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we are. That's how we are, bro. I mean, when we're addicts like that, there's nothing. I had my father and mother and other people meet me, and I'd come through security, get my medicine, and go back. And that's what I called it, and go back on the road, or I was going to come home because I needed it.
Yeah.
And so it's just a horrible disease, bro.
Yeah.
It really is.
We have a question from George. What is something missing from today's wrestling that needs to be brought back in terms of learning from the past?
My answer, truthfully, would be watch Monday Night Nitro replays from 1990, whenever you want to pick, but I'd say 7 till 2000, or to 96 to 99, and copy everything we did.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you. I mean, it was when we look back on that, even us as the talent, it blows our minds.
Yeah.
It just looks so different, and the matches are better.
Yeah.
And we wrestle a lot. They don't wrestle a whole lot, man. It's just weird. All of it's just different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very different time in wrestling right now than it was in the late 90s, early 2000s. It's just remarkably different.
Yeah, man. It's just I mean, I've watched. I mean, I dive into it, bro. AEW wrestling. I think it's fantastic. I really do think it's better than Vince. I do. I mean, honest to God, I do.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's better wrestling. It's more. And I hate to say this, but it's more WCW-ish.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
it really
absolutely.
is. It just has that feel about it. It's got that WCW feel when the WWF has that Barnum and Bailey circus thing about it.
It does.
Yep.
It does. Yeah.
It just does. They got all the bells and whistles, but it's just a little too far out. It almost looks like, WCW and AEW. They just almost roll up and pop a tent up, and people show up, and they put a ring out there and they wrestle.
Yeah.
Where Vince looks like it's a huge fake studio that they built, but it's not. It's the way they set it up.
Yeah.
It's bigger than life, but it's not cool, I guess.
Yeah. No, you hit the nail right on the head. It is remarkably night and day between the two promoters. What do you think about Triple H taking over WWE?
I kind of thought he had his hands in there anyways, but so I don't. Who really knows? I mean, me and Triple H never really knew each other, hardly at all.
Yeah.
But I hear from top guys that that was who my heat was with.
Yeah.
And I've got no idea. I vaguely remember being around Triple H at WCW when he came in, and I remember like paying for the rent-a-car because he was broke at the time, and coming in when you ain't got paid at first at WCW, you go through a time where you're out of money,
Yeah.
And I remember was in LA, and we went to the cool gym in LA, and that's when the Barbarian brothers, these twin Barbarian brother guys, they were real big into working out, and everybody was kind of copying them. And they had a workout that was, you did one set for chest. That's all you did.
Yeah.
You did one set for quads, one set for back, and that's it. You were done with the whole workout. And it was no way to get me to try that because it just doesn't make any sense except injury.
Yeah.
But he was big on it.
Yeah.
And he was skinny as a rail, though. I was like, hey, bro, I don't think this is working. You know, you're awful thin. And, you know, I mean, God bless, you know, he's one of the best bodies in the world before it was over. But at this junction, he was not.
Yeah.
And he was pretty thin and didn't look that good at all, man. And then, man, boy, he proved me wrong, but he looked fantastic before it was over. So he figured it out, but that was not the workout to figure out.
Yeah.
Funny question.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on pineapple on pizza? Does it go or no?
I've never ate that before, but I will tell you this. There's a steak place by here that like a Brazilian steakhouse that like cuts meat off out on the plate for you, you know, and they got that pineapple over the grill.
Yeah.
That they slice the pineapple off too. Man, it's incredible.
I know.
So
it is delicious.
Maybe there's a place for it on there. I don't know. I've never had it, but maybe there is.
I love pineapple on pizza, so give it a shot.
Big pineapple fan.
I love
pineapple on everything.
I love pineapples, period. I do too.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it. That's our show, man. Buff, thank you so much for being on here again. And we'll have you again really soon. And Canada Dry, on behalf of Buff Bagwell, if you want to, you can go to our website, of course, fnwrestling.com. Scroll all the way down. You'll see all our social media links. You can also go to youtube.com/fnwrestling. We'll have our social media links there as well. If you're into shirts and you want to get yourself a t-shirt, go to prowrestlingtees.com/fnwrestling. If you are a fan of Adrian Adonis, we run his store on Pro Wrestling Tees as well, prowrestlingtees.com/Adrian Adonis. And
for me, go to marcusbuffbagwell.com for my website, and that shows you all my social media. But pretty much everything's Marcus Buff Bagwell, and Twitter's Mark Buff Bagwell. So check me out when you can, and I'm easy to find, man.
All right. And with that, on behalf of Buff, on behalf of Canada Dry, I am the JFB.
And remember, just keep fighting.
Woo!
This has been an effing worldwide media production. You can find us on all social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and others. Head over to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/fnwrestling. And while you're there, click like and subscribe. Want some swag? Head to our store at prowrestlingtees.com/fnwrestling. You can find all these links and much more at our awesome website, fnwrestling.com. As the JFB always says, you can book it.